day, our viewers and listeners. Welcome yet again to another episode of Business Chronicles here at Studio 84. My name is Solomon Tumwesigye, one of your hosts here at Studio 84, and this is Business Chronicles. Studio 84 is a podcast studio set up here along Lithuli Avenue in Bugolobi, Kampala, and it's a space set up, to facilitate individuals and business owners and organizations tell their stories, and along the way positioning themselves as authorities at what they do, because we believe that everyone has a story to tell and they are an authority at something. Today, with great honor and privilege, I am hosting a gentleman that has many stories. His stories don't end. The other day I was teasing him that how do you have a fresh story to tell in your life every single week? Sometimes twice a week he has a new story to tell that he relates to his business. Like all my guests, I'll let him introduce himself, but I know him as a man who wears many hats and wears them really, really well. His journey, I know for sure we can't exhaust in our one episode of Business Chronicles. Jonan, introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Solomon. As you said, my name is Jonan Kandwanaho.
Yeah.
I am the team leader, Jonakee Holdings Limited.
Yes.
Which is a money lending institution, microfinance institution. Yeah. Based here in Uganda and in Lusaka in Zambia.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Hey, I'm learning things already.
Yes, we launched in Zambia last year in August.
Yeah.
We're up and running. Good business it is. I also double as the president, Money Lender Association of Uganda.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Hey, good stuff, Jonan.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But I also serve as marketplace pastor at King Church, based in Kololo.
I like it.
Yeah, married to one wife, Patience. I send her greetings. And then 2 children. We have 2 boys.
Yes.
Yeah, Investor Samuel and Prophet Israel.
I'm loving the titles already.
You know why he called him Prophet Israel? This guy, at 1.5 years, he was, closing eyes. There's a time we were praying without reading the word. This guy goes under our TV and picks the Bible, says, first read the word.
Wow.
Like, wow. That's so he knew the norm, you have to read the word.
Read the word, then you pray.
Then you pray.
I told you this man has stories. Jonan, there is a career. There is a hat you wear that you have not talked about.
Yes.
You're a farmer.
I am a farmer, yes. I keep cattle, both dairy cattle and cattle for fattening. Fattening.
Yes.
I relate fattening to a trade like even downtown.
Yes.
You buy a shirt downtown at 10,000, put it upscale, probably upper town, sell it 50,000.
Iron it, put it on a hanger, display it better, and sell it.
Same applies to cattle. Buy cattle when it is malnourished at probably 1 million shillings. Let it have the pasture, the salt, and water. In 3 months, you can sell it 2.5 million or 2 million.
Wow. Where do you find time to do all these things?
Solomon, I've found magic in delegation. Delegation, trust and delegate.
Yeah.
That even when I travel, clients will not stop getting money because I'm out of the country. That even when I'm not on the farm, the farm won't be productive just because I'm not there.
I was about to ask you a question when it comes to delegation with the money business. Then you said the farm. Now I have more questions with delegating at the farm, because I know delegating at the farm is probably harder than delegating with the money business. Delegating can be quite challenging.
That's true.
Jonan. So my question at this point, how long have you done what you have done to reach a point where you can delegate comfortably? Before I ask you how much you have been beaten for delegating.
I hear you. The truth is, I started lending in 2012.
Yeah.
But to build a robust team, become very intentional, was in 2018.
Yeah.
I must say that I learned this from one of my friends, who was as my mentor in the financial world.
Yes.
He says, first test someone with small money.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the financial world, how I started delegating is, I got, you get someone, you have limits. So on the account, you can appoint what we call an agent.
Yes.
That a client comes to apply for a facility,
Mm.
and you appoint this person on your account.
Mm.
They process the loan properly, the credit officers, they assess properly, they upload this person on the system. Then after uploading on the system, then the finance has to initiate. So an agent on the account initiates the transfer.
Mm.
So for you look at the end of it to approve it.
Mm.
You get a code and then approve it. And then the client receives the money. So you test with the limits. You put a cap like 50 million Uganda shillings is the limit we're working with.
Yes.
Then as you monitor, because at the end of the day, we're reconciling on a monthly, sometimes weekly, based on the volume of the transaction. If the volume is too big for a week, we sit on a weekly and then reconcile. Then you see the shortcomings, the challenges here and there. So when you prove that this person has done the thing consistently, with integrity, then you get to trust them a little bit more. You're like, okay, now I can scale up the amount from probably 50 million to 100 million. And this is when even you reach a moment, because sometimes, not even sometimes, all the time, every start of the year we do what we call vision casting. This is when you tell a team that, you know what, we're going to probably spend a given amount of money. You don't look there. The person goes, looks out for a place, books a place for a whole team, coordinates the activities, pays for the activities. Like, you don't look there. For you want to wait for the end of month report,
yes,
and see how the expenditure went.
Basically, don't sweat the little daily details.
No, please.
Jonan, how did you end up in the money lending business or the microfinance industry? Because I am almost sure they didn't teach you that in school.
They didn't.
How did you end up there?
My background is chemical engineering. Yes, I did a bachelor's degree.
I'm still stuck at chemical engineering, Jonan.
I did a bachelor's degree in industrial chemistry, chemical engineering at Macquarie University.
What chemicals are you feeding? Are you feeding your cows, for example? Tell the story.
So the story is, I was working in the UNBS,
Yeah.
in the chemistry laboratory.
Oh, yes.
And I realized, by then I was a volunteer. But before then, the time I was at campus, when students are starting the university, they tend to have some bit of cash. So they buy gadgets, external drives, laptops, hoofers. Midway semester, they become broke. A hoofer they bought at 1 million shillings, they will sell it at 500,000.
Yes.
So I had my friend at E-Tower, so I'd go buy those things from, Livingstone Hall, around the notes boards. By then there was no Gigi, there was no WhatsApp. So I'd go buy them, come and put at my friend's shop at E-Tower, and we sell them like 900,000. He gets a cut, I get a cut. So when I started doing internship at UNBS, I had some small money. So when you have some bit of money, people can know. So for government, when you're transitioning from one financial to the other, salaries for the staff delay. It was one fateful month, June, July. Salaries delay, and my colleague confides in me because he saw as an intern working for free, but I had some bit of money. So he confides in me like, Jonan, I am stuck. Our salaries haven't come yet. Going to delay probably for a week. Could you help me with some money? So I asked him how much. He says, help me with only 200,000. So quick math in my head, I'm like, oh, I can give you the money because I have it, but put some small interest. Then he asked me, how much are you talking about? I only told him, put 40,000. He's like, man, what is 40,000? These are guys who are earning 3.5 million, 4 million. I mean, 40,000 and 200,000 is not a big deal. I get the 200,000 and give it to him. He does a single paper writing on my book. And lo and behold, I give him the money. After 1 week, the government pays. He gives me 240,000. He didn't stop there. He went and evangelized to all the guys in the lab who needed money. He's like, if you need money, this cowboy is going to sort you out. And then I got an overwhelming demand for money. And guess what? I didn't have the money. So I had a friend, a guy who marries my cousin. They had a microfinance called Friends Capital Finance in Kambocha. So I'd go borrow from them at 12%, come and lend these guys at 20%. And that's how Jonakee was birthed.
The rest is history.
The rest is history, as they say.
Meanwhile, what I picked from your story for starters is how once upon a time there were notice boards.
Yes.
Now there are applications for that stuff. Everyone walks around with their notice board.
Notice board. Yes.
Have you been to campus lately to see whether those physical notice boards still work, or do now kids send things straight to GG and whatever and Jumi and all that?
I've not been to campus of late. I last was at campus, I think, in 2016 when I was finishing, 2015 when I was finishing my master's.
But it's amazing that if you're selling something, all you have to do is take a picture of it,
and upload on the
download an
GG
app,
or
and just
something.
download and phone calls start coming
Start
in.
coming through. You see 1,000 views.
What has the journey been like for Jonakee Holdings?
I must say that the journey hasn't been very, very smooth, but also it hasn't been as hard.
Yes.
I first operated informally from 2012 to 2018. Of course, informal meaning that I was transacting within the car, at office, at UNBS sometimes. And then that barred me from growing. It barred me from serving clients that I would have served. Because a client has an expensive vehicle, a client has a land title, he looks at you, you're transacting in a car, he can't get it. So they cannot entrust you with their land title. So meaning that there are some transactions that they couldn't do at that stage. Along the way, informality, of course, denied me a number of things. Until I landed on one of the guys that, go to support me. I meet him, and he gives me assignments. Of course, it was a charged meeting. He was charging 1 million shillings a meeting, an hour. A young man, he tells me, Jonan, so going forward, you have to register, you have to formalize ABCD. And until you do that, even if you pay your 1 million an hour, I will not meet you. And that's how I formalize and get one staff and then start, formalizing. I must say that the journey softened a little bit. It got better. The business grew as I formalized. Because in not formalizing, as I thinking I was running away from costs associated with formalizing, ranging from URA to paying staff to renting office. So I thought by transacting from office and the car or my vehicle, I'm saving money.
Yes.
But the first month that I formalized and got an office as instructed by my mentor, I realized that when I had not formalized, I was not charging application fees, for example. I was not charging processing fees. I was not charging. So as I started charging those fees because of the frequency of the clients and the number, the amount alone from the loan applications and all that, we were able to pay rent, as well as pay one staff who was there, and some of the fees like printing costs and all that. So I was asking myself, why did it take me this long to actually formalize? But also I got to serve clients that I wouldn't serve when I was informal. So it a bit eased my journey. When I was informal, I would be at the mercy of the client because then he chooses to pay you or not to pay you.
Yes.
Because you're in their hands, isn't it? I mean, sometimes you even ask for a collateral, but you cannot caveat it.
Who are you going to report to?
Thank you. You don't have a license. You're not registered. So I have my vehicle. I parked it there. Some scenarios, someone actually would get money from a registered lender and come and bring you a vehicle, parks it there. You've not put a caveat. You don't have a tracker in it. Someone else has done that. So you've lent money, and you see someone coming, locating it by a tracker to come and pick the car.
Wow.
And when you go to the court or to the law, ideally this is the owner of the car.
The first thing they ask, are you licensed to
Thank you.
this business?
Do you have any interest registered on this car? Ideally, you have no interest registered on this car. So you're at the mercy of the client. You have to firefight. So I must say that I lost a bit of money because of formality. But also after formalizing, I got to get better. I got to get better. I got to know that there's a particular niche that I can serve, that I'm meant to serve, and there's a niche that I have to let go. I used to get worried that, if you start doing things formal, organizing yourself, clients are going to run away. But there are some clients you're going to attract, and there are some you're going to dispel.
Yes.
And it is okay. It is healthy. In some of my spaces of the lenders that I met, I tell them, my journey, I'm like, you can't serve everyone.
No, you can't.
You cannot. There is a particular niche that you're meant to serve.
Along the journey, your caliber, your class, your set of clients changes.
Drastically changes. And as you progress, even you keep up cleaning your portfolio. Because there's one client who's going to come when he knows that he has a bounce check. And you know that if he has a bounce check at Jonakee, he cannot get money. Why? Because why did the check bounce? That means he gave a check to someone knowing that he didn't have the money on the account. That's an integrity issue. That even if you have a collateral that is way valuable than the money that you want, we are testing character. Your capacity to pay. Will you pay? Because at the end of the day, the vehicle might not pay. But by the time the vehicle pays, if it is to pay, you're foreclosing. And then I've clashed with you. Yet I am targeting 1,000 more clients behind you. There are many clients behind Solomon that I will never know about. That if I served Solomon very well, I'll get to test them and serve them.
Like the guy in the lab at UNBS.
Thank you so much. So I need to handle Solomon with a lot of caution. To the extent that if I know he does not qualify for the money, I should be able to tell him, Solomon, you cannot afford this money, please. Excuse me, I cannot serve you for now. If you get things in line, then I can serve you. Because then we shall keep with the rapport. And after I've served him very well, then he will bring me more clients. But if I serve Solomon, when I know that he cannot afford this loan, he's going to struggle. And when he struggles, he's going to clash with me. He cannot refer me the number of clients at all. And word of mouth is one of the best marketing methods.
And also from experience, I know that one bad client can only refer a fellow bad client to you.
Thank you. So meaning that it's what actually I said, as you progress, you even filter out. So you reach a moment when you're actually serving premium clients.
Yes.
Premium clients. Why? Because you kept filtering out the bad clients,
Jonan, the cows.
Yes, the cows.
Were you born a cow person? Is it a hobby? At what point does it turn into a real business? Because many people do farming, telephone farming for starters, which means mostly it's a hobby. They are not making much out of it. What's that like?
I must say that I was born in a family with cattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't struggle in that area whatsoever because I was raised in cows. I was raised seeing cows, enjoying the milk. So I've been in cows. So there are some things that come seamlessly.
Yes.
Because they are in me. Like, I've grown seeing them. But that does not disregard the fact that you can actually start a farm and it fails. So what I've done is that I have managers on all the farms that I have. I have all the managers. One thing that I think is unique is you need to nib it at an emotional point of view. Because no amount of money you're going to give this manager to clean up his integrity. And also realize that you can also not pay as much money. Why? Because of the productivity of the farm. So when I am at my farm, I pick interest in the person himself. Converse with them, understand their pain points, understand their challenges. I'll give you an example. One of my herdsmen, we are down in the farm, in cattle in the morning, and we keep talking. So I asked him, he's a young man. I say, what is your pain point? What would you like to do in your life? What is it that pushes you to work? Because, you see, on my farm, someone who does not have a plan or anything developmental they are thinking about, I know they're going to destroy my farm. Why? Because they don't have anything that is inspiring them to actually, work hard. They're all drinking after being paid. So I asked him, he told me, what? We're born 3 boys. We're born 3 boys and 2 girls. And it's only me who has my mom. This boy was barely like 21 or 22. And, I have always, my uncles have thought that, I've failed in life, but I want to build for my mom a house. Ask this guy, how much is a house? He says, I've so far asked, it's a matto house, like a matto house.
Mud and water.
Mud and water. And then, he does the costing and realizes the guy needs about 2.5 million to raise the structure and also about 1.5 to buy the iron sheets. So I tell him, what? Okay. So when do you start to start building? He's like, I've already started, but I'm stuck along the way. So I asked him, how much do you need? I gave him an advance of about 2 million. And then he built, he reached the level, and then I gave 1.5, put the iron sheets, and completed. So that alone helped me that even when another person on the farm would come and he wants to collude this boy in the integrity issues, steal milk, do what, he would be the first person to call me.
He's seeing the much bigger picture.
Thank you. So to me, I think that the game changer, by God's grace, what I've come to realize that impact people at their pain points, like at an emotional point of view. See a bigger picture of someone, that yes, he's a farm boy, but there is beyond that farm boy. There is something beyond his life. One other aspect, one of the farm managers I have, we're conversing, kept mentioning children. So Jonakee Holdings has a Jonakee Foundation. We've been sponsoring children. We now, we have about 15 children that we're sponsoring now. So as we're conversing, he keeps mentioning it. So I ask him, how many children do you have? He tells me the number. Some of them are not studying. So I'm like, you know what? I'll pick one of your kids, and Jonakee Foundation will sponsor him till university. So that alone will make this manager look at this farm as his own, because I'm telling him, it's out of his farm, partly, that we are getting the money.
He's going to school.
It's going to school. So if I pay this guy 3 million a month or 5 million a month, it still cannot cut it.
No, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't cut it. But
It
I
wouldn't.
say bigger picture, a bigger impact.
Jonan,
So that is my management aspect.
I hear you. My question, because running a farm, especially for dairy, is not as simple to put systems in place as the money business. The money business, you'll have an application, you'll check balance. Now you can check and see the status
Absolutely,
of your business
absolutely.
just here in your hand. But milk, you don't know how much milk, whether it has given 15 liters or 16 liters in the morning and what in the evening. You don't know what has happened. I know
Yes.
you are appealing to your people on ground emotionally. Is that all you're doing? How do you curb these little things? Or are you also not paying attention to the pens and pencils of milk and focusing on the bigger picture?
That you have to do. I am actually paying attention because with the farm, if you don't pay attention to those details, you actually can close farm.
Do you
Because
have
farm has
cameras in
interest.
the milking shed? What
We-
are you doing?
You're actually answering yourself. I have cameras. I have cameras at my home. I have cameras at my farm. I monitor. I really monitor. But I must say that all that cannot probably insulate. The leakage is 100%, but they curb a big fraction, probably 80
Yes.
to 85% or 90.
Mm.
So I have cameras on the farm, but also too is that for every day that milking happens, then the message has to come through of how much milk has come through. So I ask myself, if you milked probably 150 liters this day, how come it is now 100 the following day? What happened?
So with your experience, you know.
You can monitor the trend.
Yes, you know,
It
this
should be
cow has
gradual.
given birth, it will
Produce this
producing
much when it has just given birth.
Yes.
It reduced by this fraction.
Yes, yes.
It comes with experience. It also comes with time because you cannot come from 200 liters and then you go to 150.
No.
That becomes abnormal.
Okay. Jonan, most of our parents, they did this cattle business, whether for dairy or meat, typically as a hobby. They didn't, like monetize it and start doing it strictly as a business. You're doing it as a business. How was the transformation?
Yes, I'm doing it as a business.
Because, like our parents, traditionally, the go on, you get my point.
I get your point. I must say that what has helped me the most, I am not up there, but I'm work in progress. But what has helped me the most is that I compute every cost that I put in a farm. To the extent that, almost every weekend you hear your colleagues, I'm going to the farm, I'm going to the farm. So you ask this guy, like, how much do you pick from your farm? Because fuel alone, based on the vehicles that you're using, on average it's 200 probably to 400,000.
Yes. Depending on how far it is.
Depending on how far it is. So as simple as fuel of going to the farm, it should be a cost to the farm. That at the end of the month, you should sit down and say, this is much that has come from the farm, and this is the much that I've spent on the farm, including fuel, including the meal that I ate while on the road to the farm, because it is a cost that I've incurred because I'm going to the farm. So I must say that it's one of the things that are unique on my end versus our parents who had prestige and hobby of keeping cattle.
Yes.
Is that we track incomes and expenses. I'd reach a moment and look at the farm and realize that the costs are outweighing the incomes. And this is when I start thinking, what other economic activity can I put on the farm? So I must say that even start of the year, we actually, I started goats on one of the farms. Why? Because I was seeing that the money I was getting from the milk was not enough to service the costs. But also I realized that for every time I would host my friends or invite my friends, or even during the festives, I'd have to buy probably, a goat to slaughter or 2 goats to slaughter, or probably, a bull. So that alone, if you have numbers on your fingertips, it helps you a lot to know. This farm is not giving me what it is that I want. How can I step up the income? Because my orientation in the mind is such that it's not about micromanaging and mising and economy. No. It's about, how can I, as I monitor the expenditure, the focus should be on how do I step up the productivity and the income on the farm. And you know what? The number of coexisting things that can happen on the farm. You can put, like I put goats. You can put even, what do they call it, for bees. You can put bees. You can put, there are some things that can coexist and they
Without
not
costing you much.
without costing you much more extra.
Yes.
On the same farm. On the same farm.
Mm.
It reached a moment, actually, I had to do what? Separate the cattle. I said, look, I cannot give hay and silage to all the cows. I said, I'm going to keep the productive cows, the ones that are producing the milk, the ones that are going to feed entirely on hay and silage. The rest I'm going to get another land and put them there because they're not as productive at that very point.
Yes.
So if you're not monitoring the cost, especially if you have other monies from other sources, you may be tempted to pick money from the cash cow
All the
and
time.
feed the dog.
Yes.
Yeah, you pick from the productive venture,
Yes.
you're feeding the non-productive venture.
Yeah.
You've seen guys pump money in the farm, but he's not tracking expenditure. He's not tracking income. It is just a hobby. But you're picking from a business that is productive to a business that is not as productive.
I have particular interest in goats. What's the science with goats? Have you seen goat farms end in tears?
Number of them.
What's the reasons why that happens? Because, the goat picture looks really good on the Excel sheet.
It does.
A goat will produce twice a year.
Absolutely.
One, two kids,
Some three.
When you do the math,
The math is.
10 goats, 50 goats in a year, you're like,
I hear you.
it's a no-brainer. What happens?
Management. I must say management. Management. You see, sometimes you have to incur cost. You have to incur cost because two things I've seen in goats. The first one is that if the little one, the kids, cannot transition to the actual goats, then you have it wrong. And that's where
That's the number one loophole.
Number one loophole. And the kids die the most. And you see, because the kid is too small and probably very cheap, you think, the kid has died, you shun it. Not knowing that it is this kid that is going to go to a goat that you can sell at 500,000. So where you have to nib it is at the kid level. So you have to take care of the kids, extreme care. And that comes to a person who is managing your goats. They have to really, really understand. If it calls for a vet to keep coming to the farm, you have to prioritize.
So
be it. Because the cost ultimately is worth it. The math you already know. If the goat is giving you 2 kids twice a year, from one goat you have over four goats more. Which other business can give you that?
I know.
So if you nib it at that level, you'll have nailed it.
And it's eating grass every day.
Thank you. And it does not even feed like cattle. It's not very intense.
No, it doesn't need salt. Doesn't need.
It actually does need salt, but it's not as compete. It doesn't compete with cattle.
Yes.
It can eat shrub. It can.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it can eat shrub. It doesn't compete with cattle. So goats is one of the animals that are not very intensive in managing. They are not as demanding. So I must say management, but also monitoring the kids' transition to actual goats or adult goats, bucks.
Jonan, if you're to advise someone who wants to go in livestock, doesn't have much money, but they have interest, they have land, what would you advise them to go with? Apart from livestock in general,
yes.
Apart from following their passion, you had a passion for cows and all that. Yes. If they are looking at the money,
I'd still say goats.
Yeah,
because I found that goats multiply very fast. They are not cost intensive. The cost involved is not as intense. You don't need a lot of money. But also, actually, people have ranches and farms that are not as busy.
Yes.
That if you did a sample of even 10 people that you know, one of them has a farm that is idle.
Exactly.
And it's as simple as fencing that farm, if it has some bit of shrub, and put your 20 goats or 10 goats. And then monitor the goats very well. Make sure the kids have the shelter and the real goats have the shelter. And then you see how they transition to big numbers. They can do big, amazing things. Amazing things. So do not think that for someone who wants to start farming, the low-hanging fruit will be in goats. But he has to monitor a lot on the kids transitioning to grown goats.
Jonan, lastly, most people, I have people around me, friends who are in the corporate world and so on, they also were lending money to their colleagues at work, but many times it ended in tears. And one of the biggest scares in that industry is collecting. How have you hacked that one?
Collecting money is not easy. Truth is,
And making enemies along the way.
I'm telling you. One principle that we use at Jonakee is that a loan is bad at the point of disbursement.
Really?
Yes. If much of the time, if you do your assessment very well, collection is not as complicated. Collection is a result. Collection issues is a result. That means you didn't do your homework when you're disbursing the loan. Not 100%, but over 80 to 90%.
Yeah.
So one thing I would say is that, one, make sure you do your assessment very well. And in your assessment, you should reach a moment of, you should be able to comfortably say no in the event that there is a red flag. That's why I cannot serve my own friends. I have to assign them to someone else to serve them.
Yes.
Because I have conflict of interest. I have emotional attachment. Someone will say, Jonan, you know where I stay. You know how much I have. You know what I own. You also want me to sign here? Really, really? Me your birthday? Jonan, we have grown together. So to avoid all those things, there is a professional person that's been hired to do that. They have no interest. They are under instructions and procedures. Let them serve the person and say, if you have to sign, you have to sign. If you don't sign, we cannot proceed, unfortunately. So you have to separate yourself from the business and the emotional attachment of my friend, my relative, my colleague, or something like that. So the loan is bad at the point of disbursement. And if you get it wrong, then collecting it is very, very hard.
Very.
But also, too, is that that's why we lend secured money, because our money is 100% secured. Car logbook is that we put a caveat in the car logbook. We put a tracker in the car, and the car is comprehensively insured. So even if the car gets an accident, you have an upper hand, both you and the client. So you still can collect your money. If the car is moving out of the country, you will see, because it's geofenced, you will see the car is going to Congo. Where is it going to go to do in Congo? So you still have your car geofenced, you can actually confine it. But also, three is that you have put a caveat. Someone cannot transfer it.
Yes.
Because then even if they sell, they cannot transfer. Your interests are still registered on that car logbook. So you're almost 100% insured. So the moment that someone refuses to pay or dilly-dallies or something, you have an upper hand to collect that money. So your money is probably 80 to 90% collectible.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you do your assessment very well, then you almost, 80 to 90%. Of course, there are those outliers that even when you do all these things, you still have to flex with them. Yeah, those are still there, but it's not a very big factor.
It's not a big factor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jonan.
You're welcome, Solomon.
Is there anything on your heart, an extra, in Uganda they call it a katalekeka, that you want to share with someone watching this podcast?
I think for someone watching this podcast is that it doesn't matter the level you're at.
Yeah.
To me, I think that the best thing that you can do for yourself is to start. If you've been thinking about farming, if you've been thinking about lending, the best thing you can do for yourself is to start. Because even if I speak a lot of English, even if I speak there are some things, Solomon, that you're not going to experience
until you're there.
Thank you.
That's true.
Like hands-on. So it's until you start that you can actually get to experience what it is that you have to experience, that I cannot even speak or say.
Wow. A friend of mine wrote a book called Just Start.
That's a good one.
I hope she gets to watch this episode. I know that I gave her a shout out, Jennifer Tumukunde. Just start the book. I hope I can, I should be able to share the image of the book and maybe in the description mention where it is. Jennifer, you just earned yourself a quick shout out from Jonan saying just
I send you greetings, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jonan.
Pleasure, Solomon.
My viewers and listeners, until the next episode of Business Chronicles, this one felt really, really, really short because Jonan has so much to say. If you want to, listen to more of Jonan's experience and all that, in the description, I'm going to share his contact. Maybe you can join the BLN daily morning calls. There's a lot of stuff happening there.
Thank you.
So I'll share Jonan's contact. Reach out to him. He'll advise you. Maybe share a link to the BLN calls. Thank you, Jonan.
Thank you so much.
Until the next episode, my name is Solomon Tumwesigye. I'll catch you on the next one.